Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video. For today, I want to give you a quick update on what is going on down at the Tesla Lithium Plant near Corpus Christi. Now, the last time we saw this was on my 16 November video, which is still available on my YouTube channel, and this is what it looked like at that time. Now, we just recently got some posts from Tesla with some really exciting updates. Now, at the time that I flew, I was speculating that the plant was very close to being able to start production, but I thought it might be another few months from now. But fast forward to yesterday, and Tesla just said that they got the first feed of raw material through the kiln in the lithium refinery, and this is for the very first time. Now, that rotating kiln is that large kind of cylindrical item, kind of looks rusty, and that's part of the pyrometallurgical processing that will be done here at the plant. And for this to be done already is a great sign for what this is going to shape up as in 2025. Now, another thing I did want to show you some additional images, and to put into context, this is that archway that says Tesla Lithium, and it's right in the middle of the plant. If you recall, back in May, 8th of May, 2023 was the groundbreaking, and the governor of Texas was there, Elon was there, a lot of dignitaries were there, and we also got a chance to see the render in the upper right showing what the plant will eventually look like. And can you imagine just 19 months later from that point, the factory is getting the first shipments of raw materials. That's what you see here in the back of the Cybertrucks. This is Spodumene Concentrate. It's kind of a broken up rock, kind of a powder format, and within that there's about 6% lithium, and then they use that to produce the lithium hydroxide. This is some of the team, also some of the dignitaries and other guests that they brought in for this event. And it's right at that archway. Also, if you take a look, not only the Cyber trucks, but the Cybercab had an appearance. So as I pull away from where those pictures were taken, this is a great shot overall of what the plant looks like, at least from a few weeks ago. And about half of the plant is finished or ready to begin some of the processing, and the other half will be built out towards the end of 2025 and into 2026. And finally, this is the rendering of what it will look like when it is finished and fully operational. So I hope you enjoyed this quick view, an update of what is going on at the Tesla Lithium Plant. Now, switching gears back to Giga Texas, I just want to remind you that in addition to my previous video, I did a standalone extended Cybercab testing video just because I had so much footage from that day. Now, we started over at the die shop where they're doing the continued drive testing with that Model 3, following along, collecting additional data. Came out onto where Tesla Road is being extended off to the east, just to the south of the die shop and the battery cathode plant. And then it worked its way all over the site. Here are a few images of where it was, and also with some scale when you take a look at them next to other vehicles, other trucks. And just a really good idea of what all is going on as far as the amount of testing. Now, this is really great because Giga Texas is like a giant construction zone. The routes are always changing. There's different traffic, different construction equipment, different speeds, and just different obstacles that are in the way. So this is a great opportunity for them to collect a lot of data and then process it in the Cortex computer cluster in this image on the top of the screen. Of course, I got a view of the Cybercab next to the fork in the road, something that I wanted to do for a long time, and I was finally able to do that. And I think it's kind of appropriate since the fork in the road represents not only the full self-driving and the robotic capabilities of Optimus, but the whole AI and just taking a different fork in the road to a brighter future. And then, of course, here's one other shot of showing the Cybercab coming to a stop at one of the setup stop points where it's simulating drop-offs and pickups of passengers. And here's another really quick view and image of what that looked like. So I hope that you take a look at my full video on my YouTube channel. All right, with that, let's get the drone in the air and let's take a look at Giga Texas and see what it looks like today.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you.
My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Good morning from the very far southwest part of Giga Texas. In fact, you can see the factory in the long distance, and near us in the middle of the screen is this excavation area that is continuing to go deeper in certain sections. It looks like there's a silt fence and some gravel as part of a road, and I'm not sure exactly what they are doing with that area, but it does continue to have a lot of work, and I'll continue to monitor that, and we'll see what happens in the near future. Now, as we fly with River Road to the right and the contractor parking in the bottom center of the screen, I'm going to bring you up to this material staging yard and show you some of the activity that is underway here. We do see some concrete vaults and manhole covers, steel items on the right, some of the steel corrugated pipe and steel beams on the upper right and on the left-hand side of the screen, and then of course these large white transformers that have been sitting here for several months, no movement in a while. So I'm not sure what the plan is, but I'll continue to monitor those transformers. This material staging yard is much busier compared to the other one. We see some of the workshops at the bottom of the screen, a lot of materials, some superchargers, some big deliveries that have been made here and stored. Some of them are wrapped in this silver kind of wrapping, some of them blue, some green, and some of the wooden crates. And it looks like there is a truck taking away some materials in the upper right as well. And as I pan the drone down, this is a nice view of some of the newer equipment that has been recently delivered. And of course, the brown and white wrapped items, which is another stamping press. And there are crews that are still working on these. And again, I don't know if they are preparing these for installation in the near future, or if they're just putting more wrapping on so that they can make sure that these are secure from any of the rains or environmental conditions. But as you can tell, there are crews working on at least that one large item. And the scale of the workers and that item gives you a pretty good idea of just how large these truly are. I'm going to continue to fly up to the north and show you some more of the materials that are stored here, some of the containers, and as I kind of pivot the drone around, more of those transformers that are staying here for right now. And we'll most likely see these up by the electrical switch yard as part of a Megapack site, but I'm going to continue to monitor this and we'll find out for sure. A lot more of the large spools of the cabling and some other equipment that is stored here. I'm going to fly over the outbound lot, just give you a good view of how it looks today, how busy it is, and the number of vehicles that are present. Of course, the transport trucks are picking them up really quickly, and it is early on a Monday, so the production is just gearing right back up. But there's a good mix of Cybertrucks and Model Ys. Well, big development on the south end of the end-of-line facility at the Superchargers is the canopy covers. At least the frames for the covers are being assembled on top of those poles that have been recently added. And what this looks to me is like it's going to be some sort of a canvas or a fabric covering for these canopies rather than a steel structure. And because of that, I don't think that we're going to be seeing any solar panels on these canopies, which is what some of the viewers that I've had over the last several months asking about. And since I wasn't sure, I wanted to see what the final design would be. And just based on what I'm seeing, I think it's going to be canvas and no solar on the on this canopy. So this is what is going on here at the south end of the end-of-line facility. And of course, a little further south is that large clearing that is still waiting for either asphalt or some other ground treatment. And of course, they already have the mounts for the lighting. And there's some additional equipment that's stored here as well. Now, we do see a lot of the Lone Star paving trucks lined up to put the paving in just to the south of the boring tunnel and proceeding all the way down to River Road. There's some other developments in that section, and we'll see that here in a moment. But first, I thought I would zoom in and show you the current situation at the boring tunnel. Now, earlier today, Boring Company did release an image of a Cybertruck inside the tunnel, and that is great to see that they are testing it on the inside. This west main entrance is still getting the superstructure completed, although they have some vertical steel along the sides of what will eventually be a kind of representation of a Cybertruck. We also see that electronics cabinet with semi-clear or maybe a Faraday cage kind of wall structure nearby there, and of course the asphalt that is underway. As I pull away from this vantage point, I'll pan the drone up and show you where we are in location to the main factory. So I'm going to reposition the drone and follow along to the south, and we'll take a look at how the paving is going right now. Essentially, this is another north-south road that runs from the end-of-line facility next to the Boring Company tunnel and then all the way down to River Road. Of course, a lot of the paving trucks busy today. This clearing with the fencing shows now 2 cranes. We saw that lighter yellow one being assembled on my previous video. Now it looks like they're using it to assemble an even larger crane. And you can see some of the parts on the ground and the crane getting ready to lift up some of the counterweights for that new crane. Why they are putting in 2 cranes over here, what will they be using them for? It's really hard to tell for sure, although I did see as I was leaving later in the morning some large kind of circular forms that were delivered to this area. So it suggests that we're going to see some sort of large tank structure, but that'll be something I continue to monitor. This is a good overall view of the paving work. This corner next to the South Bridge, of course, the main factory in the upper right, and the end of line where the Boring Company is on the left. Now I'm looking across the highway to where we just came from, and then I'll bring the drone around and let's take a look at this south end of the factory. As I turn back towards the south end of the factory, a few things that I want to point out. One, of course, you can see with the zoom in all the plastic on the ground floor of the cooling plant, and there's a couple of fans that are operational. But I also wanted to show you this with the zoom in. The knockout crews are doing the white stain on the concrete panels. As you can tell, it takes several coats for that to match the rest of the white color on the factory. And they're trying to get this done quickly. Then we'll see them shift over to the west side. And then we also see the large yellow crane. That's for the glass that's getting ready to be installed. And we'll see some closer views of that here in a moment. But crews are really rapidly proceeding to try to get this south end completely closed in. And of course, with the stain, get that so that it looks as a contiguous piece of the same factory. So as I maneuver around the power lines, I'll bring the drone down lower. This is a better view of this alley between the cooling plant and some of the materials on the ground and the extension on the right. Looks like there's some black plastic that was put up, and maybe with some of the wind it kind of got pulled away. But We do see more of the items being put on the ground here for additional assembly. Now, as I come around the southeast corner, see the yellow safety fence around where the crane is. And also they're preparing this counterbalanced boom with the suction cups. And this is a good close-in view of what that looks like. That device is what is used to pick up each of the individual panes of glass and then place them onto the mounts and the tracks that you see on the right-hand side of the screen, those kind of black items along the perimeter grade beam, the beam for the second floor, and then along the top as well. And so they are really ready to go, and we're going to see a lot more of that glass installed very soon. Now on the south end, this is a nice close-in view of the work to prepare for the paved surface for the roadway on the top layer. And then the second layer, that concrete walkway, and the extensions on the west side have now been poured with concrete. And we saw that work on my previous video, so they really proceeded quickly over the weekend. In addition to that, we see more of that grass seed mixture and the purple pipe for the irrigation to try to encourage that to grow for irrigation and also for erosion control. As I maneuver the drone back towards the south over the fork in the road statue, I wanted to show you another development that is going on here in this corner next to the south bridge. You can tell that the gravel mix goes underneath the bridge over to where we saw the two cranes being assembled in that new kind of staging lot on the other side of the highway. And of course, this with gravel mix around this section. So it looks like it's definitely being joined together in some fashion. As we cross back over the road and come towards the southwest corner of the main factory, I'll bring the drone down in and give you a view of the work that's going on with the road on the right, and also some deliveries and equipment that are on the inside of the factory here. So I'll bring the drone down a little lower and we'll zoom in and we'll take a look at this equipment. And this is a great view of what all that is. I'll zoom in a little bit more. And then hopefully you can get a great glimpse of what is going on here. In the upper right is where that X-Energy equipment, which is part of a cooling system for a data center, has been moved in and is being installed. So a lot of installation of equipment going on this part of the factory now. All of the crates with the glass and the trailers are all stored here temporarily, and then when they're needed on that southeast side, they'll be driven over and then installed. Now on this side, we see one large pane of glass missing in the upper right, so that'll have to be replaced. And then here, we see all of the ground has been smoothed over and graded and prepared for this to be either asphalt or concrete or a combination of both. All of the underground work has been done here, and we see a drainage trench across the opening. In addition to that, we see some railing marking off the roadway, and I've had some viewers suggest that that's also there because delivery trucks or just basically trucks bringing in a lot of materials need that so that they have a safe and defined path to drive through that area. So great to see all of that coming together. It's also necessary for that to be finished for the boring tunnel to be operational. In this section, I just wanted to show you some of the broken down crates and some of the deliveries that are being made continuously into this section of the building. And that has been going on for several months. And I'm going to continue to fly up to the north. Nice view of the flags and the flagpole on the left, the main entrance on the right. But what I really wanted to get to is this section here showing model-wise exiting the factory. This is where they do exit once they are completed and then driven over to the end-of-line facility on the other side of the highway for final inspections and checkout. There's some more of them coming out of that opening and that black ramp. The receiving doors there look like they're nearing completion. I'm going to stop up at this section here also to show you the continued work with the forms on either side of this opening. About a year ago, this used to have a very large ramp, concrete ramp that's been all removed. They've reconfigured this area, put in a lot of plumbing and pipes and fire water loops, and now they're doing this structure. And this is what it appears like today. And I'll continue to monitor this and we'll see what this will be once we get a little closer to being into a completed state. I did notice this accordion truck, and with the movement here, you can see why it's called the accordion truck, is that whole trailer kind of accordions open. But they have these large deliveries. I'll zoom in. Looks like this may be coils of steel or aluminum. This may be what is used for the cans for the 4680s. Not really sure, but it is in the general area for that. And then you can see where some of the cans are being recycled in those bins. So anyway, neat to be able to see those kinds of deliveries. So I'm going to wrap around the north face of the factory. We'll take a look at some of the activity up here today. As I wrap around the northeast corner, looks like not only are there casting rack mounts and some castings around this area, but it looks generally more of a cleaner area than we've seen in the recent past. We do see the openings for the vaults with some of the cables that are being worked, and we'll see some more of that on the roof. Looks like discarded castings on the right-hand side of the screen, and then more of the castings being stored on the left-hand side of the screen. I'm going to bring the drone down low here, give you a view into this steel structure, some of the equipment that's being installed on the right-hand side of the screen. I'll zoom in and you can see this kind of the furnace loading system that is definitely coming along, and a lot more of it has been installed. This surface slides in and out, and it's used for loading up the aluminum furnaces that are just inside this part of the factory. Now on the ground, we see some more of the items that are being assembled for that loading system, and soon those should be installed as well. A lot of work on the baghouse filtration plant on the ground floor and all the way up on this superstructure today as they continue to do final assembly of this filtration unit. And I'll give you a better view here with the drone as I bring it up a little bit higher in altitude, show you the tall superstructure, that a kind of exhaust pipe on the top, some of the very large pipes, and those kind of centripetal I don't know, strainers, the kind of like funnels, and that will help to separate some of the heavier material before it goes into the filters, which are on this end of the structure with those kind of semicircular vents on the top next to the tanks. As I mentioned, they are doing the cabling installation along the parapet wall for the Cortex supercomputer. You can see that on the right-hand side of the screen. The new enclosure here, which is access to the roof, looks like that is getting near to be completed. Of course, more of the cables laid out here for installation, and that temporary platform with the spool of cables and the crane nearby as they bring more. And of course, the workers right now are installing some of the cable here and feeding it through those ports that go down into the factory and eventually connect into the cables out of the opened up vaults that we saw earlier. This is a nice view of all of the castings here on the north end. And this is basically where they do the sorting and handling and trimming of the castings before they are used for production. So I'm going to bring the drone up, and we're going to come up over the power lines, and I'm going to show you some of the activity here near the electrical switch yard. Starting on the south side, this graded area that is getting some of the stormwater pipe installed around its perimeter is where we're going to see another Megapack site. And it looks like some of the final grade material is being put down on this large rectangular section. And at this lower altitude is a great look at how this underground stormwater pipe is being installed and what it looks like today. And with the workers, kind of a sense of scale again. This is a good view of the earthwork that is underway here. And then on the south end of the electrical switch yard, next to these two trailers, we see where it looks like they are preparing for the third trailer. This is a large underground vault. There's a lot of conduit and cablage that come in through this area. Since it's a confined space, that's why you see the confined space rescue team. It's a requirement for OSHA to be able to do that, make sure that the atmosphere and the environment is good for the workers while they are inside that confined area. Now, on the south part of the new transformer, we see some of the foundations being prepared for steel assembly. We also see this trailer with some of the other equipment, a lot more equipment, and the oil catch container has been installed as well, and some additional installation of materials. Next to the control room, we see crews very busy installing the next A-frame structure. All of the steel items are on the ground. Now, the interesting thing about this structure, actually the two A-frames that they've added, is that these use the larger diameter pipes as opposed to the smaller A-frames next to them. We only saw that on the north side here on the right-hand side of the screen on the original installation. So it's interesting that they have made that choice to use the stronger or the larger diameter pipes for those new A-frames. So I'm going to reposition over to the die shop and we'll take a look at the activity over there today. A good view of the west side and some of the materials being stored here today. The paved section just to the north of the chiller plant still has the cones and that safety tape around it, but otherwise I don't see much change. There's some scaffolding underneath some of the large pipes on the north end, and just generally this is what it looks like today. Not a lot of activity at the moment of me flying. We do see some of the frost on the vaporizers, so we do know that some of that is being operational today. As I fly through the alleyway, this is a nice view towards the warehouse on wheels lot and that multi-level parking garage, plus some of the overflow parking. In addition to that, we see some of these workshops, some materials and equipment, some of those containers. And I did notice next to this workshop some very large steel items being fabricated on top of these containers. Kind of interesting. Not sure exactly what that is, but it seems to be new, at least from what I've seen in the recent past. There is some equipment being stored on the left, still waiting for installation. As I fly up over this kind of a rubbish pile, I was looking to see if there's anything in the recycle yard to the right. Not really a lot today. And then as we fly over the Martin Marietta maintenance structure, it's a good view back across the field kitchen and the battery cathode plant die shop and the crash test facility today. And I'll give you some views here of the east side. Now, one of the things that I did notice, or didn't see, I should say, today around the entire site is I did not see any Cybercab testing, at least at the time that I was flying. We do see, however, here at the north end with the flying floor, a Cybertruck getting prepared for testing that is used for rollover testing. And it looks like they have that getting ready for today. As we fly up to the north over the cell test lab and looking up to the north where a lot of the materials are stored, I'm going to bring the drone up to a higher altitude, just reveal the entire site, all the areas that we were able to see today, and just sort of end the video here with all of this in great view. So thank you very much again for your support and for watching, and I hope you have a great week. Take care.